Today, they are the largest provider of eye care in the world, the largest in the world. Performing 4.5 lakh eye surgeries and procedures each year. Not only the largest, but the least cost in the world. My wishes, the PSG Sons and Charities goes down the same path of more and more innovations in all its institutions to achieve greater heights. As was said, they realized unless the society around them is educated, it will be difficult to uplift the society. And that's the reason they, along with a few villages of Coimbatore village, Professor Agrawal, Dr. Mohanty in absentia, the three who are to be honored here today by the PSG and Sons Charities, Mr. Gopal Krishna, the Managing Trustee, Mr. G.R. Karthikeyan, the former Managing Trustee. Invitees for this function, faculty and students of the various institutions administered by the charity, a good day to all of you. As was said, they realized unless the society around them is educated, it will be difficult to uplift the society. And that's the reason they, along with a few villages of Coimbatore village, no wonder in 1926 itself, Sri Rabindranath Tagore visited the school. The four brothers were far-sighted. They soon realized that education by itself will not be enough to uplift the society. Industrialization is a must and cannot depend purely on agriculture or trading alone. That is why they formed a trust in 1926 which would help them to go forward in their charity activities. As was said over here, divided their inherited wealth into 5 parts, and the 5th became the creation of the PSG Sons Charities as we know it is today. And on the request of the villagers of Piramedu, they took over the Sarvajana school to be administered by the trust, which became the first of the very many institutions which have been established over the years. As was said over here, in 1926 itself, they established the Industrial Institute and started manufacturing centrifugal pumps and oil engines to drive them. And in the 1930s, they even started manufacturing electric motors, since electricity from Paikaro hydroelectric power generation up in the hills to the north of here was available. I mean, they were one of the pioneers in Coimbatore to manufacture electric motors. Until then, electric motors used to be imported from England. Coimbatore was the first to make electric motors in the country. And that is why even now, 40% of electric motors made in the country comes out of Coimbatore. Soon after, as was depicted here, the PSG Polytechnic was established, followed by the Arts College, and in 1951, the College of Technology. I'm not exaggerating if I say the impetus for Coimbatore to become an industrial city lies a large part thanks to the PSG and Sons Charities. Thanks to the Industrial Institute and later the Polytechnic and the College of Technology, Coimbatore has the highest number of MSMEs in the country. MSME means micro, small and medium enterprises. Officially registered, they are the highest concentration in the country. This can be seen in the well-being of the citizens here, the well-being of the city. as a percentage of the population, Coimbatore city has less people below the poverty line when compared to the other cities of Tamil Nadu like Chennai, Madurai, Trichy or Salem. I was fortunate enough to study mechanical engineering here, and as was said earlier by the speaker, 54 years ago in 1969, I got my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. But in those days when I studied here, there were only 3 streams of engineering available: mechanical, electrical and civil engineering. There were very few electives. So much so that when I got admission in the United States in 1970 to do my master's degree in management sciences and in manufacturing, I was only given a provisional admission. For the first semester, I had to pass a number of bachelor's level courses. Courses in economics, marketing, production, computer programming in Fortran, etc., which were not available in the engineering colleges in India. Maybe they were available in IITs. Dr. Agarwal, were they available in those days? No. So when I was a master's student over there were 3 types of exams for the master's degree students to test their capabilities. The first was the closed book exam, like what we have in India today. The student had to dredge all the learnings from his memory of what he understood the lecturers had spoken and answer the questions to pass the exam. In this kind of exam, since Indians were used to rote learning, the Indians used to fare better than the American students. The second type was an open book exam. The student could bring books and reference materials to the exam. So, unless the student was thorough in understanding what the lecturers had told them in the class, they would not know which book to refer or what reference material to refer to get the solutions within the stipulated time to pass the exam. Here, the Americans had caught up with the Indian students. The third type was the take-home exam. You had more than 2 weeks to find a solution to the problem the professor had laid out. Remember, those were not the days of the internet. You could not Google to find the answers of the solution. One had to go to the library to read a number of books and journals and ferret out the information from there to find an answer to the problems posed by the professor. Initially, the Americans outscored the Indians over here, but soon the Indian students learned to adapt and catch up with them. In real life, one does not always solve the problems purely from learning which is stored in the memory. You consult with others, you read a lot of books, you learn from the others to solve the problem. I'm glad to say that over the years, from the time I graduated from PSG, the management has strived hard and succeeded in changing the curriculum, in changing the teaching methods to keep ahead of the times and the needs required. And they have improved the standards of the institutions manifold. For example, by the time my eldest son Vijay Mohan enrolled himself in PSG College of Technology in 1992 to do production engineering, there were a multitude of courses available in electronics or computers or design, etc. And for his final year, where he had to have 4 electives, there were hundreds of subjects. Of the 4 electives that he chose, for 2, he was the only student. Normally, a college would have requested him to drop those 2 electives and join others where there are a number of students. that they did not discourage him so. The management allowed him to continue with the 2 courses even though he was the only student. Look at the transformation between the time I was there in the 60s and the time my son was here in the 90s. So when my son obtained his bachelor's degree in production engineering in 1996, thanks to the innovative methods of self-teaching he had to do himself, he was a far mature person and more self-confident than would normally have been the case. My wishes that PSG Sons and Charities goes down the same path of more and more innovations in all its institutions to achieve greater heights. I really am glad that the Charities is instituting this program for the first time to recognize persons from society who have contributed a lot for the benefit of the society and also for the creation of knowledge and dissemination of society to take the country forward. I really am indebted to have been invited to be the chief guest today in this inaugural but prestigious program. My sincere thanks to the management of the charities. Thank you. A human being has 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. If I ask the audience over here to prioritize the 5 senses and to say which sense if they lost they would be affected the most, I'm sure the majority of people gathered here would say it is sight. It is indeed fortunate that the late Dr. Vijay Mohan, born in 1988, soon after his retirement in 1976, when he attained 58 years, he formed the Global Trust along with his brother-in-law, Dr. Namdharman Swami, and started the Urban Eye Hospital in Madurai in a small way to eliminate needless blindness. Because as I said, the loss of the sense of sight will affect a human being the most. From a humble beginning of 11 beds, they have now risen in leaps and bounds to have 14 eye care centers spread across South India, and even in Coimbatore, the Urban Eye Hospital started in 1997. After Dr. Vijay Mohan unfortunately passed away in 2006, Dr. Namdharman Swami has headed the functioning of the Urban Eye Care Center very ably and led it along with this team of people to the great heights that's achieved today. Let me throw a nugget at you. Thank God between the MC and the managing director, they did not say this. Today, they are the largest provider of eye care in the world, the largest in the world. Performing 4.5 lakh eye surgeries and procedures each year. Not only the largest, but the least cost in the world. Their hybrid model of using the profits from full paying customers to subsidize those who cannot afford it or even give free eye care to the very poor. Only 40% of the full paying customers. The balance 60 are either subsidized or given free. Nowhere in the world does this happen. This indeed is a tremendous service to society, Dr. Nambar Swami. Google is now partnering with Arvind Eye Care Center to take all the information that Arvind Eye Care Center has gathered among the lakhs and lakhs or millions of patients that they have examined in the database, and how to use artificial intelligence to build a diagnostic system where by scanning the eye, and especially the tiny capillaries, one will be able to give a diagnosis whether they are okay or something else is going to happen a few years down the line much faster than any other diagnostic system. And this will be at much lower cost than the other diagnostic systems. I wish Arvind Eye Care reaching greater heights under you, Mr. Dr. Nambar Swami. The Atomic Energy Commission of India was formed soon after independence in 1948 under the guidance of the first chairman, Dr. Jahangir Baba. This was to organize research in atomic sciences, to train atomic scientists, to promote research, to promote nuclear research and so on, and to extract atomic minerals in the country. Subsequently, in 1954, the Department of Atomic Energy was established to undertake the development of nuclear power technology in India and become self-sufficient in this field, not be fully dependent on advanced economies. Both the organizations have done commendable jobs. They could have done much more if only the politicians had given them a free hand and not been influenced by the Western powers' diktats. Now that over the last few years, the BJP government has shown more gumption and not kowtowing to the Western powers, and they could be in power at least for the next decade, if not more. I'm sure the Atomic Energy Commission and the Department of Atomic Energy will be given a free hand to do more and take India to greater levels for the benefit of the society. I wish Dr. Mohan were here to hear my plea and take the message to the powers that be. India produces less than 4% of its total power from nuclear energy. Most of it comes from thermal power, burning coal, or from hydropower. France generates more than 70% of its power needs from nuclear reactors, nuclear reactor power generation. If France can do that, why not India? We have the largest reserves of thorium in the world. Is it just lying idle? Or like a few years ago under the previous regime, they tried to sell us thorium sand. I'm sure the Atomic Energy Commission and the Department of Atomic Energy has enough of knowledge to enrich this thorium and to build a number of nuclear power generation installations across the country. If we have a properly designed nuclear power generation system and it is managed well, it's far less polluting to the environment than the coal-powered systems. And it is far more consistent in giving power in generating power than the hydro systems which are dependent on the vagaries of the monsoon. If India has to go forward, we have to be ensured quality power consistently 24/7. I sincerely wish we go the way of France and generate more and more of nuclear power. I wish the Atomic Energy Commission and Department of Atomic Energy all the best in this endeavor. It is really a visionary thought of our first Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, to start the IITs in the country. The first IIT was established in 1951 in Kharagpur, and within a decade, in 1961, we had 4 more. 1958 in Mumbai, 1959 in Kanpur and Chennai, and 1961 in Delhi, so that the IITs were spread to the 5 regions of the country. Thanks to professors like Mr. Agarwal and his peers, the IITs have turned out excellent graduates. I know that many of them have gone abroad for their higher educations and have even settled down over there to seek gainful employment. But those graduates who stayed back in India have helped to India go forward tremendously. Even amongst those students who went abroad and settled down there, many had startups which were very successful and generated gainful employment and wealth for those countries. And many others rose to eminent positions of power in the industries and businesses. So indirectly, this was also beneficial for India. The foreigners could see from the live examples in their own countries the kind of skill levels that is available in India, which has prompted them in droves to come and set up technology centers, design centers, manufacturing industries in India, generating lakhs and lakhs worth of employment and generating wealth for India. So Professor Agarwal, I would like to commend you and your peers who have contributed a lot towards this. Now coming to the kind of work Professor Agarwal has done, your cutting-edge computer algorithms to have better secure communications and his other works which will help building better and more powerful computers. In these days of artificial intelligence becoming more and more pervasive, the kind of work Professor Agarwal is doing will pave the way for AI to be a partner with us humans, rather than the dire scenario of AI taking over the world as being depicted by the doomsayers. I wish Professor Agarwal and his peers all the best in taking India forward at a rapid pace. I would like to conclude by commending each generation of the managing trustees from the PSG members. All the 9 managing trustees, as was outlined in the video, the first generation of Ramaswamy Naidu and Ganga Naidu, the second generation of Sri G.R. Govindarajulu, Sri G.R. Damodan and Sri G. Bhadraj, and the third generation consisting of Mr. G.R. Karthikeyan, Mr. V. Rajan, Mr. G. Rangaswamy, and finally the 9th, Mr. S. Gopalakrishnan. All the 9 managing trustees, I'm happy to see, along with the other trustees, have kept have kept Sri P.S. Govindarajulu Naidu's vision alive and have in turn enhanced it more and more to serve the society in very many wonderful ways. May I request all of us assembled here to give a standing ovation to PSG and Sons Charities, please. Thank you. Mr. Gopalakrishnan, my thanks to you and Mr. J.R. Karthikeyan once again for inviting me here for this Augustus program. Thank you.